A little bit of background on me. Before I became a spiritual coach, spiritual mentor, energy healer, I was a doggy daycare owner for 7 years. Love that. So I had a previous business. I worked in a nonprofit as a program manager for underserved youth. And what I did specifically was help teenage girls learn about STEM careers. So we would take them out into the community and they would meet with all these different business owners and different companies. And it really just helped them expand what they're capable of in their life, especially from the backgrounds from where they came. And they got some really amazing opportunities through that program. So that was great. And then I have a background in psychology. So a lot of the Quantum Evolution Academy, yes, it's mysticism and woo and witchy and quantum, but a lot of it is also based in science for our human brains. And yeah, I have a 12-year-old son, currently, he's 12 currently, and I have 3 dogs. So that is my family. Okay, so let's get into the content. Who is this program for? This is for people who want to be new earth healers. And what does that mean? When I'm talking to people, often they say, when are we going to 5D? When are we as a collective going to 5D? And I tell them that is a personal internal experience that you have, and then everything around you changes. Okay, so this is you going within yourself, the depths within your soul, working through all of the programming and the PTSD and the trauma and taking off all the fear and the anxieties and the depression and the false illusions, everything that the world has told you that you are, or that you can be, or that you can't be, reinventing yourself as whom you want to be, who you truly are at your multidimensional level. Yes, we are having a human experience and we absolutely love that. And it is actually the most important thing to us because that is what we are living right now. Okay, so within the Quantum Evolution Academy, which we're going to go over the system here, but I'm very much heavy on healing our human first. Because if we have a lot of heavy facets that we are carrying with us, not because of our own doing, because of trauma or society or cultural, religious programming, it is very difficult to channel. It is very difficult to feel at peace in life. It is difficult to access your Akashic records or your different incarnations, or to just have harmonious relationships in life. Have a good relationship with your finances or your career or start a business. It creates these perception lenses of you being in this very small container of self. And this program is meant to bust you out of that into your most expansive form. Hey, Celeste. Hey, good to see you. So, human version of us is the most important. And then we get up into the multidimensional facets of self. Okay. So, who this is not for. This is not for anybody that's not ready to go on a very deep alchemization process. There are a lot of courses and mentorships that, and this is not to speak about anything because everything's great. Okay. But there's some that just give you information and then you are meant to integrate that however you will. This is going to be a very intensive process. It is going to bring up very deep facets of trauma and emotions and healing your central nervous system and any of these false illusions that you have had over self. We are going to purge those out. And so you have to be ready to go on that journey because hello, because I had a lot of students that joined and said, oh, I didn't realize that this is going to be such an intensive process, but that is the way of the shaman. That is the way of the priestess, the alchemist, the magician. If you want to radically up-level your life, or if you want to be a very expansatory energy healer, you have to go through a trial by fire of your own. And that's not to say that this also won't be a fun and magical, whimsical process, because it is, and it's not super difficult the whole entire time. I don't want to make it sound scary or spooky, but I want everybody to be thoroughly prepared that this is a very intensive process that we go through, but on the other side of it, you will find yourself, that version of you, the true core essence of who you are underneath everything else that is not your truth. Okay. But it takes some digging to get down there. So we got to be ready for that. Now, what this is not as well is I am not teaching you how to own and operate a spiritual business. Yes, I am teaching you how to become the energy healer that you need to become in order to have a spiritual business, if that's what you so choose. But we're not getting down into the nitty gritties of website and marketing and social media and things of that nature. I am helping you raise your vibration and your frequency and your consciousness and helping you better understand your channeling abilities and how to work with others, whether that is family members, friends, partners, or if you want to take clients. But we're not getting into the super nitty gritty. Do I talk about those things? Yes. Is that what this program is about? No. So I just want to make sure that everybody has intentional expectations of the course as well. Now, you can always ask me those questions and I would love to share with you. Okay. But we're not getting into a huge portion within the course. This is us shifting our energy and our consciousness and getting new tools and resources and abilities. Now, I do have people ask, is this for beginners or newbies, or is this for advanced healers? And it is for both. It hits on every single level, wherever you might be at. If you are a beginner, this is going to be more so a alchemization process for your own life. And then you'll probably have to take it all the way again through the course, because the course content you have lifetime access to. So I recommend, if you're a newbie, okay, we're going to go through the course and then you're going to need to go through it again so that you can see it from a teacher perspective lens. Okay. If you are a more advanced practitioner or a healer, or you already have a spiritual business, I teach in a way that teaches you how to teach others. So you will know how to help people heal their inner children, connect to different incarnations, unlock and activate their spiritual gifts. You'll understand how to teach about quantum manifestation, how to reprogram their subconscious, heal their central nervous system, process their emotions. So you'll be able to come out on the other side knowing how to teach all of this course to somebody else. Now, that is also dependent, I want to say, on how much time and energy you want to put into this. And that is not to say that you will be ready after 6 months, because this is an accumulation of my lifetime of healing that I have put in here and with my clients. So everybody's journey is going to be very different and independent, because we are all starting at different chapters. But however much time and energy that you invest in this is what you will get out of it as well. And the reason I say, hey, make sure we're ready to go on a deep alchemization process, okay? Because sometimes it takes longer for people, and sometimes you've already been there for a long time. So it's just dependent on where you're at in your time and space. Okay. So let's get into what the content is about here. And I'm going to share my screen. And I'm also going to be taking questions after we get into talking about this as well. Boop, boop. Oh, I didn't mean to pin you, Amanda. Hold on one second. Okay, there we go. All right. So as we see here with the chakra system, if you're not super familiar with that yet, that's totally fine. I'm going to be teaching that within the course. But we start down here at the root chakra and work all the way up to our crown. And the content works in this way as well. Our bottom 3 lower chakras have more to do with our human experience. And as I said before, that is going to be the most important thing that we work on and heal and grow and expand, so that we can get up into these more multidimensional facets of self, much like our upper chakras. So at the beginning of the course, we're going to start with central nervous system down here with the red. Most people, not saying y'all, but most people, if you do want to be a practitioner, they are walking around in fight or flight, fear, anxiety, and panic 24/7, because that is the way that the world is set up generally. Okay, especially if you live in capitalistic societies. Okay, or we have really negative experiences happening in the world. You know, that can be a lot of different things. Okay. but we have to learn how to feel safe within our body and safe within our environment outside, internally and externally, in order to even be able to get into these other facets. If we are dysregulated, it is very difficult to process our emotions. And most of us don't even have tools and resources to process emotions. Nobody ever taught us that. Or most light workers and empaths or neurodivergent persons grew up in very traumatic households, or they were demonized for being very hypersensitive or punished for that, or again, never taught the tools and resources. So sometimes we're not set up for success, even from the beginning. So that is not your fault. That is generationally something that has not been taught by society, but we're changing that, okay, through this mentorship or through other mentorships or other teachers, mentors, and guides. But we can see that there's a shift coming in the collective consciousness, which I'm very excited about. People are getting really into this, so that's great. But we need to get our central nervous system into a good homeostasis to be able to process our emotions, because our emotions are the fuel for our manifestations. And most oftentimes, people are struggling to bring certain things into their life because they're not a frequency match with their emotional states. If you're experiencing panic and fight or flight, fear, anxiety the majority of the time, well, your manifestations over here are rooted in joy and peace and happiness. Chill. Okay. And so you have to clear out these heavier, dense ones in order to make space for the higher vibration, higher frequency emotions. And that's not to say that we feel fantastic 24/7, because we are living a human experience and things happen. But there is a point where you get to a general homeostasis of your emotional state, and it creates a completely different reality scape around you. From somebody who was so incredibly anxious and depressed, social anxiety. I was just sad 24/7. My life looked completely different from what it does now. And I'm not saying I don't have bad days every now and again, but the correlation that I have seen firsthand with not only myself and my clients, emotions is everything. We are energy in motion. So we have to understand how that affects our body and our manifestations and our channeling, because your intuition is also in congruence with your emotional state as well. And so when people are typically cut off from their imagination or their higher self or their intuition or their spirit guides or accessing their Akashic records, when I do a deep dive of what is going on in their life, typically they're having issues with their emotions and their central nervous system. Also, their self concept and their subconscious mindset. Those are all human based things that need to be worked on in order to open up and expand those channels. So then we get into subconscious mindset reprogramming. This is everything that you have been taught by religion, culture, or society that is not actually your truth, but you have heard it so many times over that it has become so. This can be from your parents or your guardians or your caretakers or social media. We have to understand the process of how to get a hold of our thoughts. One, understanding that we are not our thoughts, we are not our emotions. Those are things that we are channeling. And because you can observe your thoughts means you are not them. You are the consciousness behind them. Well, that means that you have the ability to change your thought patterns, which changes your actions, which changes your manifestations. But not everybody is taught how to do that. And as somebody who used to have very obsessive thoughts, negative thoughts, catastrophizing, anxious, whatever you place energy and intention on is what you're going to get more of. So if we are thinking negatively or in fear paradigms or thinking the worst or doubting self or talking down to self and berating self, well, then we're actually building a reality around us that simulates that. That's what our external will look like, just like our internal. So we have to learn how to grab a hold of those thoughts and say, what is a higher alignment thought? That sometimes, not saying it's a difficult process, but it's a muscle that you have to build in order to be even able to catch yourself doing it. Most people are living on autopilot and just living out the same day over and over again. That's because they're having the same thoughts over and over and over again. So we have to learn how to alchemize those. So after we get subconscious mindset reprogramming, we get into the chakras, the main 7, root to the crown, because when you understand chakras, you can better decipher where pain and trauma is stored in your body. Certain chakras correlate to certain trauma wounds and behavioral patterns and triggers. Like your root chakra, that typically has to do with finances. Your sacral chakra has to do with relationships to self and others. Solar plexus with your motivation and your determination and your drive. Your heart chakra with boundaries, loving others, etc., etc. So when you can actually energetically perceive and feel where those are coming from, it's so much easier to heal on your journey because you say, I know exactly what it is that I need to focus on. Then we get into inner child healing. And again, this course is very heavily steeped in inner child healing because when I do sessions with people, and that's what I specialize in, and that's what I have a background in as well with the nonprofit and going to school for psychology. When people tell me what blockages or challenges or obstacles that they are facing in life or why they're not able to move forward in whatever that is, finances, career, relationship, starting their business, 9 times out of 10, it's because of something in childhood. That is where we are being programmed, where all of our self-concept is being installed or lack thereof. Other people have taught us what they think they are capable of in life, but that doesn't have anything to do with you. But we take other people's truths as our own. Or in childhood, we experience some type of abuse, whether that is physical, spiritual, mental, or emotional. And that has completely shifted our timelines and what we think that we are capable of. And so when we are able to free our inner children from those trauma wounds and from those behavioral patterns, that's where you see significant changes in your life in all areas. The way that I teach inner child healing is a little bit different from what you might see in different areas of spirituality. I teach that instead of going back and healing the memory, we need to actually go back and heal the consciousness of those inner children in real time. I teach you how to do a type of shamanic journeying where you are speaking to them in real time about what happened as a child consciousness. You as the higher self talking to them back in time and space, but in real time. And you helping them through the root of those issues, because that is how you're going to release those things permanently. It is not a memory recalibration. It is a form of timeline healing. And I'll explain why that's really important. Okay. So then we get up to self-concept. This is your confidence. This is your self-esteem. In order to be an expansive energy healer, whether that's just for yourself or other people, or if you want to own a business, we need to believe in our magic. It is difficult to do that when you don't even believe in yourself. And I'm not saying everybody is in that place. I was in that place where I had extremely low confidence and self-esteem because of trauma, and because nobody ever taught me how to instill those things within myself. But in order to believe in things that are very intangible, the metaphysics, esotericism, the Akashic records, things that you're not really holding, you have to believe so wholeheartedly. I was trying to say that word, but wholeheartedly in yourself, because these are not things that you can hold with your hands. These are extrasensory abilities, right? And not just to get into our channeling abilities, we need to believe in ourselves for every area of life, because that helps you with your relationships. It helps you with your finances. It helps you with your career. It helps you make so much more forward movement during this incarnation. If you are feeling so much love for yourself, like deep, deep core unconditional love for self, when I got to that level, and it's something that we always continuously work on, but when I got to this certain level, I felt incredibly unstoppable. And that is where my life really started taking off, because I got to a point where failure didn't scare me anymore. Fear didn't scare me anymore. Anxiety didn't scare me anymore. I said, I'm going to do it anyway, because I have these big giant dreams over here that I want to be able to achieve. And I know that I have to fully believe in myself in order to achieve those. And I have had some really incredible, amazing things happen in my life that takes people typically a lot longer if they experience it at all. And that's because of working on self concept and self love. That is the most important. And that's where inner child healing comes in as well. We have to unravel them from the shame and the guilt and the regrets and all of that heaviness that they have been carrying for so long with you up until adulthood. When you are able to get that weight off of them, the sky, I don't even like to say the sky is the limit, because it puts a limit on that. The possibilities are infinite of what you can achieve. Okay. Then we get into channeling and how to hear your higher self more clearly, how to hear your guides, how to hear your intuition, how to trust those things, how to be okay with being in the unknown, with trusting in the unknown as well. Because again, when we get into these type of esoteric understandings, you have to take big leaps of faith on yourself and with the universe. Okay. We get into quantum manifestation. This is how to work within your imagination with your thoughts and emotions to rapidly bring manifestations in on a quantum level. This is different than how we have been taught how to achieve goals, which is a lot of external movement of masculine type of energy of I'm going to take a lot of action steps in order to achieve XYZ. Quantum manifestation is feminine energy of getting yourself into vibrational alignment to attract things with much more ease and grace, because you are embodying a higher self version of you that already exists out there in the ethers, connecting into them, and they are able to give you back the very specific steps to take instead of you sitting over here wondering, well, what should I be doing? Hey, maybe I'll try this and this and this and this, and working on this linear plane of, okay, well, it took this person this long to do this. No, we're scrapping all of that and we are learning how to forward project ourselves into the future to become that higher self temporarily, to be able to talk back to ourselves in the present and say, this is exactly how you do it. But then we also have to have the good self concept to take those big, giant leaps. Okay. And have that courage within self. Then we get up to spiritual gifts, our soul mission, Akashic records, and past lives. I do not like to call them past lives because time is not linear. They are all happening at once. When I do timeline healing with clients, we are not looking at memories. We are actually going into their Akashic records, and me, that client, and that timeline version are all having a conversation with one another in real time. And they are either helping them heal through a karmic lesson or some type of soul contract or a vow or trauma that that incarnation has experienced, which helps heal my client in the present. Or you will have mentors and guides that have very specific gifts or knowledge or wisdom to share with you and can help you during this incarnation. And I'll give an example of that. Okay, so I wanted to become a Reiki practitioner, but I wasn't really understanding what Reiki was. Like conceptually, I did, but it just wasn't really integrating into my system. And I said, okay, I'm going to put it down. And if it's meant to come back, if it's meant to come back around, then it will. A year later, I had figured out how to connect with my different incarnations. And I was actually able to meet with a different version of myself that was a Reiki master already. And I just channeled from her instead of learning Reiki super in depth in this incarnation. I found a shortcut. And I have done that with several modalities. And I love teaching people about that because, yes, learning about things on the 3D plane, we love that. Okay. But if you have some other incarnations that already know how to do these things, it can make it a whole heck of a lot easier for you to just learn from a master who already knows how to do this. And it's going to be better for you to learn from them because they have similar energetics as you. Yes, you are two different people, but you are part of the same soul. So the way that they teach you is going to be more beneficial than maybe an external mentor or a guide, if that makes sense. The reason that inner child healing is so important to me is because when I first started on my spiritual awakening journey, I could not hear my higher self. And I felt very confused and lost. And I felt like I was broken. There was something wrong with me, and I couldn't hear my intuition. That's because of trauma and the heavy energy that I was carrying, and all the anxiety and depression and the programming. I said, okay, if I cannot hear my higher self, then I'm going to teach myself how to heal my inner children and how to be a higher self to them. And it worked. I ended up being able to speak to all of my different inner children in, so sorry, my words. I was able to heal my inner children and at the same time figure out what a higher self is in learning how to be one to them. It not only healed them, but it opened up the channels for me to be able to hear my multitudes of higher selves. But past that, it taught me how to connect to my different incarnations. Because the way that I was healing my inner children was not just memory recalibration, it was going into their timelines and actually absolving and removing that trauma from that time and space. And so inadvertently, I taught myself how to do that with the different incarnations. And then I was able to access all of these different planes of my Akashic records, but not only just mine, but other people's too. Because if you are healing your inner children on that deep of a level within yourself, you can recognize and see that within others. And it's so much easier to perceive and heal others when you see that within yourself. Same thing with different incarnations. It's a hop, skip, and a jump if you know how to do that with inner children because it's easier because you have memories with them. They are more tangible than different incarnations. It makes more sense to start with them. Once you reach that level within yourself, so easy to get into these other facets of your Akashic records. Ridiculously easy. Okay, so that's why I have built this system because it was a lot easier for me. I am all about finding workarounds because not everything works for everybody, especially if you are neurodivergent. A lot of times we are kind of like left out of specific type of learning processes, kind of like if you are neurodivergent and listening to this, with neurodivergent is also another term for multidimensional. If you are multidimensional, regular schooling and learning doesn't always work for us. Shortcuts and workarounds are where it's at. And I teach so many different tools and resources in different facets because I know how difficult learning and conceptualizing things can be if you're learning on a very specific linear plane. That's why I have lots of different exercises and different ways to do things. I have different chats that I do with different channelers and energy healers that are also infused into the course because it's really beneficial to hear different perspectives. We need to hear it in a lot of different ways in order to piece together what it is that we need in order to heal and grow and evolve. Okay, so I'm going to pull this screen down and then we'll be back. If I can find the button. Oop. Okay. So on top of the course content, which there are hundreds of videos, you need to be prepared. It's a lot of content. Okay, lots and lots of content to go through. That's why this is a 6-month course. Again, it may not take you 6 months to go through all the course material, or maybe it does, or even if it takes you longer, that's fine. You always have lifetime access to the course materials. So outside of that, we also have 3 Zooms a month. Well, technically it's 6. Okay. We meet on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. EST and Thursdays at 1 p.m. EST. Depending on what time zone you're in and which one works best for you, you are welcome to attend, or you can attend both if you want. Okay. So the first Zooms that we do are activation activities. This is something super fun to help open up and expand your conscious awareness. This is where we are doing a lot of brainstorming with one another and hearing each other's experiences and what each other are kind of going through, which helps you see life and yourself in different type of capacities, and it gives you more tools and resources, and it's a very co-collaborative experience. I am very much about everyone participating and not just me talking to people. Because you're not going to learn in your best capacity in that manner. We need to be learning from one another. Yes, I am the leader of the group and I am having specific parameters that we are working within and specific topics, but the expectation within the group is for you to learn also how to be a group leader. And we do that through practice. Now, I always tell people in the Zooms, I know that everybody is going through very different things in their lives, and energy is really wonky. Eclipses, full moons, new moons, we got trauma stuff happening in life. You are never expected to participate if you've got something going on. You can come in with your Zoom off and audio off and just chill and listen, and that's totally fine. But again, you're going to get out of this course whatever you put in. Okay, so I always recommend participating, but I also know life be lifing. Okay, so you come in whatever kind of capacity that you can. Okay, so the second Zooms that we do is practice partners. So this is whatever type of energy healing modality that you want to share with another person. This is a great safe space for you to do this within. Now, some people are saying, I don't have a modality. That's fine. Holding conversations with people is great. If you want to talk to them about their day, if you want to let them vent, if you want to practice Reiki or light language on them, if you want to practice your coaching or shamanism or your priestesshood, whatever your calling is, you will have 30 minutes with somebody to practice, and then they will have 30 minutes with you. And then we do that every second week of the month. The third meeting that we have is live Q&A on course content. So if you have questions about whatever chapter that you're in within the course, you are free to ask not only me, but you are also free to ask the other QEA members who have already been deep within this content. Right now, we have 15 members. Some of them have been in a lot longer than others. And so it's not only me that you have a resource, you also have a resource within them. And a lot of them are already practitioners. They already have energy healing businesses. Some people are brand spanking new to the spiritual awakening journey. Okay, so lots of different people at different levels of supports, but our meetings are very fun and they're very chill and they're very relaxed, but they're very activating and super fun. Okay, so I always like to know what the energy is going to be like before I start getting into group sessions. It's very laid back, but at the same time, it's everybody's favorite thing about the course, about the Quantum Evolution Academy. They love the content. It's super beneficial. But being around like-minded people who are on similar soul missions and who get you, they get the witchy, they get the woo-woo, they get the new earth paradigm, they get where we're headed. That is fundamental in helping you progress in your ascension journey, because you feel at home. You feel like you have a family. You have people that you can reach out to when you're going through things, or you have a place to vent and say like, hey, this human earth game is really hard and intense sometimes. And you have other people that understand that, but can also lift you up at the same time. So in saying that, we have a Facebook group. It's a private group. And this is where I share a ton of additional resources, because I am continuing to learn every single day. And I come across all different types of channeling chats or things on psychology or inner child healing or manifestation, anything that I watch that I think will be beneficial for everybody, I continuously share in there. We put memes and music, and everybody has a great time chatting with one another in real time. So it's not like you're just in the course and then you don't have a community. This is a very tight-knit, fun group of persons who really have everyone's best interests at heart. And a lot of the students not only utilize the practice partners in the Zooms, but they reach out to one another outside of that container. And you can set up as many practice sessions as you want, as people are available for. Okay. And you can learn from them as well with their specific modalities. Again, you'll have lifetime access to the course itself, 6 months of Zooms. So we meet 3 times a month for 6 months. So that will give you plenty of support while you are going through the course itself. Now, as far as the investment, it is $1,111 if you pay in full. If you want to do the payment plans, it is $1,250, and that's 8 months at $156. And I'm going to repeat because that's a lot of numbers. And it's hard for me to keep numbers in my head. Okay, it is $1,111 if you pay in full, $1,250 for payment plans, and that's 8 months at $156. Okay, if you sign up by this Friday, which is July the 12th, I'm also going to give you a spiritual gift activation session. This is where I tap into your Akashic records and speak with your higher self, your inner, well, not your inner children, but your different incarnations. I guess sometimes your inner children, your different incarnations, your higher self and your spirit team, to let you know what one of your spiritual gifts is, the one that is going to be the most beneficial for this chapter of your life, and let you know different ways that you can develop it as well. So that'll be a good kickoff for you into the course. So that's something that you can keep in the back of your mind to work towards as you're going through everything. Okay. And the price of the course is going to go up on July 31st at midnight, because the course has become a lot more expansive and in depth than I originally intended it to be. Because I love being super, super intentional and being as encompassing as I possibly can. And so the amount of content and the amount of meetings and the amount of support has skyrocketed since I first began. And so it is going to be a larger investment. That will be $1,800 for the paid in full. It will be $2,100 for the payment plan amount. Okay, so I'm going to get back in gallery view here. And does anybody have any questions about any of the things that I was referring to, or anything outside of that as well, if you want to ask? Okay, Barbara shaking her head no. Okay. Amanda or Celeste, do y'all have any questions? And you can also put them in the chat box if you want. And I'll give y'all a moment.
Nothing is coming to mind right
Go ahead, Amanda.
now. No, I was just gonna say that I'm here. I don't have any questions.
Okay. That's okay too. And if anybody is watching this replay, you can always message me on social media, or you can send me an email, whatever's the easiest for you, and then I'll answer your questions there as well. Celeste said, how often do you offer this course? The course is available whenever you want to join. It is evergreen. You can hop in at any time, because the way that the course is set up with the actual course content itself, it doesn't matter when you hop in. With the Zooms, everyone is different levels and different chapters of their life. And so that there's no reason that you couldn't hop in there either, right? We're going to be super supportive of wherever you're at. So some people get a little bit nervous about that, as far as, well, I'm a newbie and there's all these people that have been on this journey for a really long time. One, I would like to say, if you're going to take this course and you're going to be in this, you've been a healer for a long time. This is not your first go around. Like, if you're drawn to something like this, you want to remember these super expansive, multidimensional facets of yourself, but they're already in there. You are rediscovering and re-remembering. It's not learning, it's re-remembrance. Okay, we're doing key activations, and maybe you learn some more tools and resources along your human incarnation here, but it's already within you. Okay, you to take something this in depth, you already have that archetype. Okay, but back to what Celeste was saying, you can join at any time. The only difference is the price is going to go up after July 31st. That's the only difference, but you can join anytime. Is the Facebook support group lifetime or is it time limited? No, you will all, thank you. That's a beautiful question, Barbara. Thank you. You will always have access to the Facebook group. So you will have communication with the community members that have already been in the group or any that are in the future, and you'll have access to me through the Facebook group as well. Yes. Perfect. Okay, everybody. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to me, and I look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you in the future. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.